Hello and welcome to Mage Talk, the Magento Community Podcast. I'm Kalen, and I'm joined today by the most beautiful man in the Magento ecosystem himself, Guido.
Where?
Guido, where is he?
Oh,
There
hello.
he is.
Hello. Thought it was another guest there.
How you doing, man?
I am good. It's quite warm right now in the Netherlands, but keeping it together, and that's fine.
Yeah, what is it?
It's a little heat wave upcoming. I mean, it's normal for you guys, but we call this a heat wave.
Yeah.
It's like over 30 degrees Celsius.
Yeah. Anything above perfect temperature is like torture out there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
No, it's not. It's not cool.
It's
That's
not
the
cool.
whole point.
That's the whole point.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
Get your head in the game. Get your head in the game. So we have a bunch of topics for today.
Yes.
Conversion rate optimization, your podcast. How long have you been doing your CRO podcast? And what's it called? Because I just call it the CRO podcast. CRO Cafe.
It's about conversion rate optimization. I've been doing it since January last year.
Nice.
The first year was a bit trial and error, but I think since mid 2019 I got a steady pace of doing it weekly.
Mm-hmm.
So I currently have 125 episodes on the website.
Dude, that's a lot. 125?
Yeah.
In 2 years? So that's
one and a half.
Yeah, 1.5 years. So that's slightly more than one per week.
Yeah, so what I did, I tried to have regular episodes weekly, but then before Corona happened, I also went to live events and did so we had a booth for a full day at a conference, like you guys with Mage Talk had at Imagine.
Nice.
And then I had like 8-10 talks on a day, and then I published those individually as separate podcasts too. So that's how you get to 125.
That makes sense. And it's funny, like I have every once in a while I'll see one of the links and I'll be like, I want to check this out, and I click on it and then it's in Dutch, and I'm like,
yeah, so I'm fixing that.
Yeah.
I'm not translating all the Dutch ones into English, but I think right now around 50% of the podcast is in English actually, and there's an actual. So if you go to zero.cafe/English, you get to see only the English episodes.
Nice. Yeah, I did notice you'd mentioned that recently. You were thinking about moving to English or doing some English, but every time I click on a link, it's in a language I don't understand, you know? So
time to learn Dutch, Ken.
Yeah. Dutch seems like a cool language.
Right from the beginning, I mean, Zero is not limited to the Netherlands, of course. So right away, I had the idea, okay, if this is a thing that works out for me and people are interested in this, maybe I move it to an English podcast. So right off the bat, I set up some things so it could be easily switched to English when I wanted to.
Right.
But I also wanted to, in terms of a community building, you know, I wanted to start out small to have a niche.
Right.
And it's easier to get some traction there. And I think once I got, I have a Facebook group of people that help each other out a bit, and where we talk about the episodes. And I think once that hit 500 people, I thought, well, that's a good amount of people. I mean, it's very niche, right? So in the Netherlands, 500 people talking about Zero. I never thought even that there were so many people in the Netherlands doing Zero.
Right. That's like the biggest CRO group in the history of the Netherlands, for sure.
Definitely.
You know, the other thing I realized that like I'm interested in talking about is like just community building, because like that's kind of like that's a huge part of what you have done online and offline. And it's an interesting thing, especially right now. Like I think I saw a tweet recently, this guy who was like saying that he was looking for an online community to join related to React or something like that, and he was like, I'm craving community right now. And I think that a lot of people with COVID and everything that's going on are craving that, and even pre-COVID, of course. And I don't know, I'm like, I know you mentioned it's a Facebook group, and I'm interested in like, it feels like there's a need for like some better software, you know, like there's Slack, there's Facebook groups, there's Discord, but I don't know, it just feels like do you feel like the Facebook group works perfectly for you guys, for that particular group?
Yeah, definitely not. It's messy, right?
Yeah,
It's messy, and some people are used to Slack, and others are locked into Microsoft Teams. And if we're going to talk about live streaming. If you want to talk about live streaming, you need to go to Discord. Then that's where the whole community is at. And yeah, there are definitely limitations. But if you want to build a community, you need to be where your community is. It's really hard, I think, these days to get people to build a community on your own website. Like 15 years ago, I could start a Joomla forum for the Netherlands and attract a lot of people. And same with Magento. 15 years ago, that would have worked. But nowadays, there are so much of these global platforms that people already use. I mean, when is the last time that you signed up for a forum on someone's website?
Oh God, it's been a long time. It's been a really long time.
so you need to use those services if you want to be in the game in community building and try to make that work. So obviously then you're limited to the platforms that you can use and where your audience is at. And then there's of course there's LinkedIn groups or Facebook or Slack, and then you have to make a choice. It's really hard to do them all at once.
Right. Why did you pick Facebook over LinkedIn for a professional oriented group?
I think the interaction in Facebook is much better than on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn feels more like a fit in terms of the audience and the reason people are there.
Right.
But interaction in Facebook is much higher,
just better.
and engagement is just much better.
Yeah.
For some reason.
It's interesting. It's kind of like Facebook, and I think I've heard some people say this, that like Facebook groups is like the main feature on Facebook that's growing. You know, the social networking side of it was obviously massive, but more and more people are like, I don't want to use Facebook for social networking, whatever. But the groups feature seems like even for work-related stuff and professional stuff.
And I used Facebook groups for a couple of other professional groups, and they work out pretty well. And I don't use Facebook personally.
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. Because I've thought about the idea of like a Magento-oriented Facebook group. There probably already is one or whatever. But then you'll have, like, whenever I suggest that idea, like, people will come out and be like, no, I don't want to do anything on Facebook.
That's always the case.
That's everything.
People don't want to switch. No one wants to switch.
Yeah. There's always something people are going to complain about. So, like, I feel...
The problem, you don't necessarily switch, right? You just add another channel.
You just add another channel, yeah. And then you have 5 million of them. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's a need for... community software, and so like, what are the issues with the Facebook group, like, as far as building a community, let's say specifically professional oriented community, right? Like,
email is still a very important driver of traffic and to get people to send them notifications or for whatever reason. And that's not something you can do with Facebook. And so it's up to Facebook, it's up to them to decide, hey, are we actually going to show those people that are actually group members, are we going to show them this new message in the group? That's up to Facebook. There's no guarantee.
No control. Yeah.
So, and so far it works out okay. But that's a huge risk. And so if it were up to me, it's definitely your own medium. The media would be much better. So what I try to do is convert everyone to right now, for example, to subscribe to the newsletter and have some special information in the newsletter that I don't share anywhere else. And that way you can actually reach that audience.
So then you kind of have both. Then, like you said, it's messy because you've got these two things. They're not in sync and whatever. But at least that's a way to do it.
Well, I think email versus Facebook groups is less messy. I think those are two channels that can coexist. But what I just want to say is you need to prepare for a moment. If you don't own that channel, you need to prepare for the moment that channel doesn't exist anymore, or the channel does something that doesn't really fit your community, or they just don't show you, they change the rules, whatever.
Right.
And then you need to be able to send everyone an email message saying, hey, we're going to switch to somewhere else, or the rules have changed. And if you can't even do that, that's a big risk to your community.
Yeah, that's interesting. How do you what's your feeling on kind of like the state of the Magento community overall? You're on the Magento Association, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, I think so. Like, what's your feeling on the state of things overall?
I mean, it's a big. I mean, I've been part of the Magento community since 2008, and a lot of things have changed. And also in the Netherlands, I mean, we see a lot of both agencies and merchants look for other solutions now. Magento 2 is around, and Magento 1 is no more. And shopware is very, very popular around here. Even in the Dutch Magento Slack, we have a channel for shopware.
Nice.
And they have their own community, but we also have that. But there are a lot of changes there, and a lot of differences in how Magento was positioned in 2008, 9, 10. In the eBay era and before eBay came around, versus what it's doing right now, right? So you're talking to a whole different audience. So each time we have to relearn how we communicate with everyone and what everyone's needs are, and things keep changing really fast that way. And even faster with a lot of companies now have seen with COVID. A lot of things can change in a couple of months. It hasn't been that fast for Magento, but things definitely changed a lot. A lot more professional businesses involved. A lot of agencies that are now either dropping Magento or going full Magento 2 and dropping everyone else because they can't do multiple platforms anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a whole different ball game now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you it's interesting, like you've started this CRO community and podcast, and you've been doing conversion optimization for probably since you started Magento, or pretty close there. Like, you've been doing it forever. But do you feel like you've made in some ways maybe like a little bit of a pivot from like such a strong focus on Magento to like you're saying, it's kind of changing, audiences are changing, things are shifting, people are moving to other platforms, was that a conscious kind of like shift type, you know what I mean?
So with my background in psychology, that was always already a part of my background.
Yeah.
Not necessarily CRO, because when you study psychology, when I studied psychology, nothing was digital, nothing was online. It was just not part of the curriculum. But doing experiments, doing user research, that was definitely part of that was at the core of the study. Mm-hmm. So that was always part of that. And when I did Magento, whatever I do, somehow community building is always part of that, and conversion rate optimization. That's something I grew into with. It started with Magento, doing e-commerce. Like I just said before, I was involved with Joomla, building a community for that, building websites for that. Nothing to do with CRO, but when Magento came around, first of all, I found that much more interesting than just a regular CMS, in the sense that this is actually where there's action on the website. People are buying something online, so that also means the whole purpose of a Magento website is selling something. So there's more money involved compared to any random CMS.
Yeah, I did the same kind of thing.
So people want to spend more. Businesses want to spend more money there, and that's also when more and more focus came on CRO. When people say, okay, we're pouring a lot of money in this website, pouring a lot of money in getting traffic for this website. Let's also make sure that people are actually buying, and that's where CRO comes in.
Right. So I love hearing about interesting conversion rate optimization tests and stuff like that. Anything that I think we're talking about a car websites or something like that. Like, you got any interesting tests you've seen come across lately?
Yeah, the latest user research I did was not an experiment, but was user research, and when we're talking about things that can change fast, we were looking at a couple of car websites, and so when we do user research, in this case, we did interviews with people. So one day we interviewed like 6, 7, 8 people, and you give them cases to go through websites, and you do some follow-up questions, and so this was car websites. So the companies, they were selling cars. So it could be the local dealerships, could be car manufacturers themselves, could be secondhand. And what we found out is that most of those websites are traditionally, I think, aimed at getting people to their offline location, and there they're gonna sell them a car.
Right.
While during the user research, we figured out, well, people are not necessarily interested in going to a dealership or going to an offline location. I just want to buy a car. And of course, we all, especially in the beginning of e-commerce, you wouldn't think of people buying cars online.
Yeah.
But and if it's a new car that's over 100K, then maybe not. But maybe there are people that are actually doing that right now. Also secondhand.
I was gonna say, sorry to interrupt. My buddy, when I was trying to buy a car, my buddy gave me this like tactic. He's like, figure out what kind of car you want, and then go to all the websites, all the car websites, all the local dealerships, find the fleet manager, which is like the person basically sort of in charge, email them and tell them, this is the exact car I want. Do you have it in stock, right? And then one person will say, we'll give it to you for this price. Then you email the other one, you say, I have this price, can you beat it, right? So it was a very like online process for me. And then when I went to do the transaction, it was like all agreed up front. So I didn't have to deal with any in-person sales craziness. But yeah, that's like, it made me think of that, because you're talking about how people want to just handle things online, versus like just going in,
Just get it done. I don't want to go offline to shop around for a car. I'm already used to buying so much things online. So why do you want to drag me into stores? A lot of people are annoyed by this. We had a couple of people actually that already bought cars online. So they're already used to that, and then being in a website, it's really frustrating if they don't give you enough information to be able to make a decision.
Yeah.
Or with every call to action ends in, okay, here you can create an appointment for our store manager or whatever.
Is it the same in like Europe or the Netherlands in general? Like in the U.S. at least, like when you think of a car dealership, it's like maybe somebody's going to try to sell you. They're going to have all these sales tricks that are kind of like cheesy type sales tricks.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's the same in Europe or if that's like an American thing.
I don't know about the research if it's actually true, but it's definitely the way people think of those businesses.
Even in Europe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's like the last thing you want to do is talk to a car salesman.
Yeah, exactly. And somewhere when there's something broken with your car, right? You go to a garage to get it fixed, and usually most people don't really feel comfortable doing that, because they can tell you anything. Yeah, this was broken, that was broken, and here's the bill. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're like, okay, I believe you.
Every time, but I don't know if it's actually, was that necessary or?
Yeah. But so I keep interrupting you because I have a short attention span when I'm doing these things. But you were trying to get to the research that you guys did to try to get people basically to do more online transactions. It sounds like.
Yeah. So that's the feedback that we gave to those to the car companies. So we had there was a upcoming client, and there's an industry that we were interested in, and it was really fun to do. So it was really. I thought it was insightful that to see that all those websites are still trying to sell in the old way, while the customers are already way further ahead in the next step of their e-commerce journey. Mm-hmm. They are ready to buy. Of course, not everyone, and of course you need to be careful about the exact target audience. Maybe as a car salesman, have a really specific audience as an age group or the location that they're in, whatever. So I can't speak for everyone, but it's really, really interesting to see that there's a big market for people actually selling cars online, while the car web shops are not ready for that yet.
Mm-hmm. So basically, that was the research you did, was to find out that was there a certain percentage of this target market that was like, hey, we'll buy the whole thing online? Was that the...
No, so usually when this was more exploratory research, so you get like I said, it's like 6, 7, 8 people on a day. So it's not always representative for like thousands of people actually buying stuff online.
Okay.
It was more like exploring, okay, how are people shopping online? Are they open to certain things? What do they think about certain practices? And then you can do follow-up research from that.
Right. That makes sense. Like, if nothing else, like, you should be able to get a quote online, which, I feel like from what I remember from car websites, it's like request a quote or something like that, and then you're in a sales pipeline, and they want to get you on the phone, or So like, but if you could at least, even if you're not going to make the full purchase, if you could just get a full-on quote online, and then you could, even if you have to go in to make the purchase, like, that would be a cool, I think, step.
Yeah, and even, like you just said, they wanna call you. A lot of people don't necessarily want you to call them.
No,
but
it's the last thing I want.
Try WhatsApp. I think a lot of people will be open to just chatting with a car salesperson if it feels authentic, if it feels real, if it's not too salesy. But if they're actually trying to help you, hey, I'm looking for a car, I need to do this and this. Can you help me find the right car, or even find a right second-hand car, and then they do research for you. Hey, where can we actually get this car, and can we get a good deal of that? If you do that, through chat, I think there are a lot of people that will be open to that.
Yeah, like, I feel like if there was like a car brand that was just super like digitally native, like it was easy to chat, like they had fun social media, like you never had to get on a phone call, and like the website was really clean and stuff like that. Like, I don't know if that exists exactly, but I feel like it would do really well.
There are probably a couple of startups out there doing stuff like this, because like I said, I feel there's a big gap there where you see the traditional car market lagging behind what actually the customers would like to do.
Right. And in your podcast, do you do like teardowns and stuff like that, or like is there a format to the CRO podcast? Like,
so the CRO podcast, the weekly interviews, what I do there is interview usually one or two persons from either client side or vendor side or agency side. So those are roughly the 3 categories. So vendor side will be someone from an A/B testing tool or other tool to optimize your sales online. And we do. So I started doing teardowns. That's also tied into to my dive into live streaming. We wanted to do websites reviews, or specifically web shop reviews. And look at those, and then do some live commenting on website with a couple of people. And I did that with someone focused on SEO, and then I focused on CRO, and another one I did was someone more focused on the business side, business development side, and I focused on CRO. And then we go through those websites, and the format there was that we do we did 8 websites, and then 10 minutes for each website, and then 5 minutes for each person to talk about what they thought would be better.
Nice.
But then actually, and each time we start with a disclaimer, because actually an expert review like this is basically the worst thing you can do. It's in CRO. Don't listen to an expert saying anything. If you have no data whatsoever, that's fine. But you probably have Google Analytics. That's already way better.
2020 is the year of experts are always wrong, like on every level. And I don't want to get too far into that.
In CRO, experts were already always wrong. So we might be CRO experts might be really good in the process behind CRO, but even CRO experts are really bad at predicting what will work if you do an experiment. If you were really good at it, then we wouldn't have to do the experiment. So
basically, your content is explicitly exactly the wrong thing for.
Yeah. So
that sounds a lot like Mage Talk, actually.
Exactly. So the idea is more inspirational, right? So we want to get people on the right path, in
Thinking
the
about
right mindset of
ideas,
thinking about,
options.
hey, how would a customer actually look at my website? And that's what I have a lot of experience in sitting down with people that look at the websites and hear them complain about stupid stuff on the website that you as a website builder would never think about, never consider, because you're way too deep into this, into the whole process of building that website. You know why certain fields are there, why certain fields are mandatory. It's annoying, but we have to do this because of our CRM and Salesforce, and our whole backend depends on it. If we don't have that field, then our whole backend
Falls
blows up.
apart.
And,
Yeah.
but then you sit down with the customer and they say, well, this field's mandatory. I don't have this information right now, so I just abandon.
Right.
And then that's really painful if you're sitting there, and that's the experience I do bring to the table. So that's what I hope to convey to those users, and hopefully inspire them to do more research and try to figure out what
Right.
actually happened. Because I don't do those expert reviews saying, okay, you should change this, you should change that, but it more come up like suggestions. Okay, hey, I should look into this. This if I do a user research, I would expect people to drop off here, and without looking at your Google Analytics, because that will be very helpful. But I don't have access to that at the moment of those reviews. So
I think Willem Wigman could probably, or no, Willem de Groot could probably help you with that, getting access to arbitrary
Google Analytics accounts. Yeah.
Google Analytics accounts. Yeah, it's I completely lost the train of thought I was going with there, but yeah. Oh, I'll say I think it's brilliant content strategy because it's interesting for you to do the teardowns. Like you said, it can be helpful, and it's also like I don't know if you want to get potentially leads,
Yep.
from those web shops, but like if I have a website, somebody does a review of it and it's insightful, I'm like, hey man, can you help me out?
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
and like, what do you do work wise? Like, I know you were with, like, do you do consulting? I know we were going to talk a little bit about you were at Vimo and stuff like that, but do you do consulting work for this kind of thing or?
Yeah, so the Vimo gig ended in, I think, March, April, and since then I've been freelancing, doing consulting,
Are
zero
you
training.
just blown up constantly with consulting gigs? Like, are you
Not blown
getting
up. No, the whole Corona thing definitely hit hard
a little hit?
in CRO consulting. A lot of CROs, colleagues CROs were laid off. Worldwide, but also in the Netherlands. A lot of online marketing teams were hit hard in general, I think.
I feel like developers have not been hit very hard. I've heard of a few cases of like
Yeah.
layoffs, but I feel like overall it was not hardly noticeable. And maybe I don't know if that I mean it I could see why maybe on the marketing side and maybe even specifically on the CRO side, which isn't necessarily generating sales, right? It's generating them. You know
Well,
what I mean?
that's the optics of it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, and that's also a bit weird about CRO, and there's some discussion about this in the CRO world itself, where you should position CRO. For me, it's almost always positioned in the marketing department, but for me, it way more relates to products actually. To a product department and optimizing the product itself. I mean, even if it's not, if the website is not your product, but it's part of the whole experience that people have when buying your product. And actually, when I do reviews of websites, I like 50-50, 50% of the comments I get from people are about maybe the website itself, but the other half is definitely about the product itself. So if you're selling flowers, for example, people give comments about, okay, what kind of flowers they would like to have, the flowers they don't like, what they like about the product imaging.
Gotcha. That's so true.
And that's a lot of important information, not necessarily for the online marketing team, but actually goes way further into the company.
That's interesting because you would think like developers broadly, to overgeneralize a little bit, like developers are on like the product side, like they're building the product, so they're a little bit less, they're not so much in marketing, although they could be, and maybe that's why there's less layoffs in Corona or I don't know. I don't have data on that. This is again information that could be completely wrong. But yeah. So if you're considering CRO part of the product, that's a different way to frame it for sure.
I also see that in a lot of companies when I start working there or help the CRO teams get up and running, that actually, so usually at first the developers don't necessarily like it because it feels like extra work. Okay, we need to build experiments that we don't build right now, and we already have our hands full on building new product features or new products in general.
Yeah.
But when you start doing CRO, it's not always about building or adding stuff on top of that, but actually you would want to start way earlier in the process and say, okay, you guys want to build this new product.
What should we build?
Let's first validate, hey, is this a good thing to build to begin with?
Yeah.
And okay, if we do feel that if we have enough user data to support that we should actually build this, what's the way we should build it? How should we sell this online? And how should the product look?
How should we position it, frame it, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and that definitely helps the developers also to stop building stuff that no one's using, but just because someone, a product owner or higher management says, okay, we should have this feature because the competitor also has it, everyone's sighing and then just go build it. No, let's first have this validation process of the concept itself, and then start building it in a way, continuously validating with users that it's actually being used. And then once you roll it out, it's actually being used by people and they're happy with it, instead of you working with your development team working on some big new thing for 3 to 6 months, releasing it, then no one's using it, management is unhappy because no one's using it, it's not bringing in sales they were expecting, everyone unhappy, and you build this magical new thing, waste of time.
As a developer, I resent you saying that we're building things that are a waste of time. I'm just kidding.
Well, no, but then you should. But it is.
No. That's the point. No. That's the point. Is that it's a decision from sort of whoever's driving the strategy, and developers ultimately are going to be way more satisfied when they know they're building something that's going to be used. That's one of the most frustrating things. You put all this blood, sweat, and tears into something, and then it never sees the light of day. Like that's like
exactly. I think that's way more frustrating, and CROs are
totally.
We definitely maybe some CRO teams and me in the past, and maybe right now even still need some help with that in framing it maybe better, the developers.
Like communicating with developers.
So it can come across as a bit harsh sometimes, that we like critiquing your work. And same, by the way, with designers, we have the same issue there.
Designers hate you.
We're not necessarily critiquing your work, but we know there are a lot of users having issues with the way you've built something or the way you've designed something right now, and we think it can be better. So we're trying to help with that.
Is there a dribble for CRO, like in the sense of you think about designers sort of sharing their work, and then in a way that others can kind of give feedback, or maybe that's the wrong question. Like maybe the question is like, could CROs give feedback into Dribbble on design? You could answer either one of those two questions.
I don't know. I don't use Dribbble. I know what it is, but I don't use it.
I haven't used it in forever. I just think it's a cool model,
Yeah. But there are definitely user testing websites and concept websites where people post new designs and CROs give feedback on that.
Nice.
But the thing is, and that's very similar with the website review sessions I do. It's not necessarily, expert reviews are not necessarily the best way of doing this. If you can go search, we can include this in the show notes. There's this hierarchy of evidence that is being used. It's like this pyramid. The Maslow pyramid with where Wi-Fi is on on the bottom as the most important thing.
Yeah.
Hierarchy of evidence is what's the other way around. The most important thing is on top, but it comes from science, and basically the expert review is like the bottom layer is not. There's the highest risk of a bias of me as an expert giving you, because
Right.
I'm a white dude from the Netherlands. I have this limited experience.
Right.
I might not be the best one suited to do an expert review from your website, whatever experience I have. And then you go up the ladder, and then you get more and more user data in, whether it's from and they use this in science, and I created a different version for that, specifically for digital marketing and CRO. But then you get to Google Analytics data, so qualitative and quantitative user data, user research. You include that, and on top of the pyramids is basically repeated A/B tests. So if you repeatedly do A/B tests on the same concept, the same hypothesis, and you continuously see the same trends pop up, then you have a reasonably good idea of what the users actually want, what they respond to.
Right.
That's what you want to get at, and so I don't want to discount any dribble. If you don't have that data, if you don't have a website, you cannot do A/B testing. So you need to do a step lower in the pyramid.
Right.
If you have no idea who your audience is, or you have no way of reaching your audience, you go a step lower on the pyramid. But as soon as you have that capability, you should definitely prioritize everything above an expert review.
Right. So I want to talk more about the live streaming stuff, but real quick, this copy testing product is something I've been kind of just watching recently by, I believe his name is pronounced Peep Laja, and Pep. Okay, I think he's originally from Estonia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tallinn,
and
yes.
You could tell he has that Viking DNA, just like you. But I think he's actually here in Austin. I've never met him, but yeah, it's fascinating. There's so many things I like about the product. I love that it's niche. It focuses specifically on copywriting, right? Because there's a lot of things you can focus on within the context of CRO. And I love that it basically all it does is helps you optimize your website copy, and it basically pulls in real audiences, specific to your website or your niche, your industry, whatever, and he'll post kind of like little teardowns on specific websites and stuff like that. Anyway, I think it's really cool, and I was curious what your thoughts were on it.
I haven't used it, but I do like CXL, so that's the company behind it, Conversion XL, cxl.com.
Right.
They also do a lot of training. Actually, last month I did 2 mini degrees with them, and Pep is now indeed focusing on that the new copytesting.com. And yeah, if that's so the trick here is you need to figure out where the bottleneck is of your website. And I think user testing, or maybe something like Google Analytics, especially the combination of those two, can give you a hint of where something is wrong. And if you think copy is indeed the thing that's holding you back, I think this is a great way of trying to figure out better ways. But as with any optimization, if you optimize something where people are actually not getting stuck, you can optimize. To put it really simply, if you optimize your checkout but no one is getting into the checkout, it's not really useful, right? If people already get stuck on a product detail page, you can optimize the checkout what you want, but it's not going to bring you much more sales.
Right.
And same with copy. That being said, I do think copy is underestimated a bit with CRO.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
And then start focusing on buttons or colors or images. But also when I do user research, a lot of people, when they get to websites, again, you build the website, you work for that company for a long time, maybe you even build the company, you are so biased, it's really hard to understand how much bias there is. You're completely blind to whatever happens on your website. You're not your customer, and you really, if you do user testing, it's quite humbling to do. It's or painful, depending on how you look at it. But it's a lot of people, when they get to a website, they don't get what's going on. They have no idea.
Right.
I search for something in Google. I go to a website. What do? please help me out. I have no fucking clue what I'm doing here. Is there a call to action? I see 20 call to actions, or I see no call to action. I see images of smiling people. What are they smiling about? I have no clue. And
is there a joke somebody told? I don't know what the joke is. Like, what's happening?
Exactly. And that's if you build something yourself or you're involved with that, it's really hard to do. So that's why you need to do the user testing. And copy is usually the first couple of things people read. And sure, they might be interested in videos, and if you do fashion, of course, images are really important there. But if they get to your fashion website and they don't get, is this second hand? Is this new? How fast can I get it delivered?
Are these models spray tanned? Like, what's happening?
Exactly. You want to know. And if you don't have this basic concept, which is usually conveyed through really good copy, then I think this copytesting.com is a great new addition to the tool set we have as CRO specialists.
Yeah. Like I feel like copy is such a huge low-hanging fruit for almost every website on the planet, especially mine. I mean, and I've been working on a new version of my site, and I've been it's a code-wise, it's a lot cleaner. So I find that when I'm not distracted by technical stuff and where's the code for this button and how do I not duplicate code or whatever, and I can focus on like, oh, here's a button, like how can I make this button more clear? And when you can be able to find yourself working on titles and things like that, it's great because like it's just a higher level way of thinking about your website. Like as a developer, you can get stuck in.
Yeah, and I totally get that. That's where your focus lies. But then if you have a customer coming to your website, you can make this button as large or as obvious as you want. But if they don't get what they're getting when they click that button, they don't know the consequence of clicking that button. They don't know what you're selling because your copy isn't up to par. Then you have a big issue.
Yeah.
And same with people that are not native, right? So copytesting.com, as far as I know, they're focused on the English market. So that's a great help for me because I'm not native to English. I'm just this Dutch guy, so it really helps me to go across the borders and validate stuff that I've written or my girlfriend has written because she's way better at English, as you know.
I didn't realize she was way better than you at English.
Well,
I know she's much better looking than you, but I didn't.
Well, that's not a challenge. But so okay.
It's a little bit of a challenge. It's a little bit of a challenge.
A little story time. Caitlin might not remember this, but there once was pre-COVID. There were Me Magento events held all across Europe. And
Spain,
there was
even
this
one in Madrid.
There was this event in Madrid, and I thought it would be fun to bring my girlfriend along to the event. She loves Madrid. She actually lived in Spain for I think a year.
Really?
So she was eager to go there as well, and so she didn't. Well, she actually did attend Me Magento itself, the conference day, but we had a pre-party the evening before, or maybe it was the after party. I think it was a pre-party. So she came along, and I think we already had met, and I think I've met the whole group there. Telesh was there. I think Philip was also there, and of course Ignacio was there, and I think my girlfriend she introduced herself. She said like 2 sentences, and everyone, and I think especially you, commented on how good her English was.
Oh, that's yes.
That's like what she said 2 sentences, and
yes.
I'm all,
yeah, like
it felt like it felt really personal, Karen.
Yeah,
that was not a comment on her English. That was a comment on my English.
Yeah, like you have here's the thing though. You have like a sexy like accent, you know? Like I was talking to Riccardo Tempesta with Italian accent, and he was like apologizing for not whatever English words, and I was like, dude, I would kill for like that Italian accent. But she has 0 accent. Like she sounds like American, like not even like British English. Just I don't know. It's like crazy.
She also lived in London for a year.
Yeah. It was like indistinguishable. Yeah. And
so end of story time. Sorry.
End of story time. Yeah.
But no, so and that, so like I said, so those services, copy testing included, but there are a lot more of those user research studies that really help you remove your own bias from it, right? So to get people in looking at your product that are not you, maybe they're not even your customers right now, because your customers, they already bought something from you. You want to get people out there. If your product is broad enough, then those general services can really be a really good help of getting neutral people that are unbiased towards you and your company, because they don't know you yet, to give a comments and leave feedback.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about live streaming, because you are like diving into live streaming so hard. You put together that interesting resource with all the different software options around live streaming and stuff like that. And everybody's doing more live streaming these days. There's kind of an explosion around it. So how's that all going for you? I know we already talked a little bit about some of the stuff you guys are doing.
So my use case was, like I just said, was doing website reviews. And you think this should be easy. There should be a tool out there that simply does this. So what my requirements were is, okay, I don't want to do a website review. So what I want to do is, despite having this Facebook group, a lot of my audience is at LinkedIn, and LinkedIn Live is really good. I think I get way more engagement with LinkedIn Live than with Facebook,
ton of
or YouTube for that matter.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn was one of my requirements. I need to go live on LinkedIn. LinkedIn only supports like 8 platforms. So and LinkedIn, I wanted to,
because
it's
the newest. It's the newest one of.
Yeah, it's the newest, and they to become really technical already. They don't support RTMP streaming, so they need to basically endorse the external app. Right. And then the external app you can create. So StreamYard is one of the examples. You can use StreamYard to log into LinkedIn, and then stream with them. So,
or like Restream, Restream was the one that I used. But yeah, they have to build a custom integration.
Exactly. So and you don't need that for example, YouTube or Facebook. You have just you can use any studio software that has an output of RTMP. You can just stream to that. So that was my first hurdle. I wanted to use LinkedIn. Then because I do website reviews, I want to show the website on screen. So and people need to be able to read that. And if you just have 2 talking heads like we have right now, you can get away with 720p resolution. That's fine. As long as the audio is fine, it's just 2 talking heads. You don't need to read anything on screen. That's fine. But if you actually want to read something, 180p should be the minimum. I mean, 4K is maybe too over the top, but 180p is much better.
1080p? You mean 1080p?
Oh, sorry, 1080p.
1080p, yeah.
So that's another thing I wanted to have.
By the way, have you seen Load in the Loop? It's a technical podcast with Ivan Chaperny and Eric Heilman. They do the thing with their heads are green screened out at the bottom of the website.
Oh yeah.
It looks great. They don't do it live. I think they cut it together in post-production. But I'll send you a link. It looks so cool. Like,
oh, nice. I'll have a look. Yeah, there are a couple of YouTubers doing that, right? So the cutout heads.
Yeah, it's like a standard thing. But like this was the first one I saw that there was 2 people, 2 heads.
So the difficulty with that is actually not a lot of software supporting sharing your screen. So what I did with a website review, I do a 5-minute screen share, and then my guest does 5-minute screen share. So I need to be able to easily switch between my screen and the screen of the guest. And because it's about a website review, you want to see the responses of people. So you actually want to have both the screen share and the person in view. And most of those tools, actually, when you share your screen, your webcam is gone.
Yeah, right.
So that's another thing. So and when I started digging deeper and deeper into this, it became more and more difficult to actually find a tool.
You're like, this is impossible.
This is impossible.
Yeah.
So actually, one of the few that does this is what you're using right now. This is Skype And then because Skype has a really nice NDI output,
Yep.
which only works on your local network, but
People
then
don't realize, man, people are sleeping on Skype. It's like surprisingly.
No, but that's actually, it was going down for a while, but the NDI is a really valuable addition to Skype because it sends clean signals that you're using Ecamm, right?
Yep.
Ecamm Live. So Ecamm Live can individually pick up my webcam, your webcam, and different screen shares from different guests as different streams, different inputs in Ecamm. So you can position them however you like.
Right.
And for example, if you do that with Zoom, that's horrible because if you've ever used Zoom, you're not in control. You can use a tool like OBS or also Ecamm or vMix to capture a screen. But then you either have this dashboard of all these different people, can be a lot of them, and when some of them or one of them does a screen share, you only see the screen share, and you're left with a small bar of webcam images,
right?
Which might mess up your whole scene, and it also it even gets worse when you share your own screen because then the whole Zoom window disappears.
Right.
So you have nothing to capture anymore, and you just see what you're sharing on screen. So, yeah.
By the way,
there's a lot.
Pet peeve on vMix. So TJ uses vMix.
Yes.
And it pulls in your camera and audio settings from Chrome, which sounds really cool. It's like leveraging the default functionality of Chrome, but there's no button in the UI. Like almost every app has a button in the UI to get right into your settings. So every time I join his thing, it has the wrong mic, and I have to navigate to Chrome set. So it's a minor thing, but it's like, just give me like a little button, you know?
Yeah, it's probably a browser limitation, but yeah, that's annoying.
It might be. I have no idea. But so what did you land on for your setup?
So for my setup, there are basically two options. So I have the most powerful thing I have right here, actually bought for streaming, is a Windows desktop machine.
Really?
And so the combination with that is so what you need to understand roughly with streaming, you need four things to do this. You need to capture your audio and video. Then you need to encode that, as in make it smaller so you can stream it somewhere. Usually that's done by studio software. It doesn't have to be in there, but that's usually done by a studio software, like you're using Ecamm. Then you need to stream it, and then you need to publish it somewhere because you're doing live streaming, so you need to publish it something. So all these four things need to come together nicely.
Right.
And so the best option for me would be something using either Skype or OBS Ninja. What OBS Ninja does is basically creating, like you just said, you just open a browser window, give them access to your webcam and camera, and any guest can join. And I can include that. Their output is just a clean HTML, clean URL, and I can include that browser window anywhere. And that works really nice. And the other option, so the alternative for that will be Skype with NDI output. With the only downside is someone needs to have Skype. So if you don't want your guests to be bothered by installing Skype, then that's might not be an option.
Right.
Then if you want to go for browser, if that's your preference, you can go for a browser-based solution. That will be OBS Ninja. It's a bit bare bones, so it might not be the most user-friendly option, but it does work for both screen share and capturing your webcam at the same time, and putting that into OBS. And OBS there are a lot of options. It's free, it's open source. By the way, OBS Ninja is free and open source too. And then use OBS for all the layers and scenes that I want to do. And then the output, then OBS doesn't support output to LinkedIn. So I need another tool for that. And that's going to be Restream. And then Restream is going to do that. But that's also because OBS Ecamm. So I do have a MacBook, but Ecamm is way too power hungry for my MacBook. And even then, my MacBook fans would go crazy. So it would be really annoying during a live stream just for the audio, the noises.
Right. Yeah, I had to upgrade to a Mac Mini for the live stream issue, and I have an app that shows me my temperatures on the CPUs as well as the fan speed, or not an app, it's like a toolbar thing, because that sucker can get pretty hot. Even just doing regular stuff, it's weird.
So that's also a decision that you can make. Then, do I want something? Do I want all the power of something like vMix or Ecamm or OBS? That's fine, but then I do need to have a powerful system at home and be able to stream that live. I need to have this connection at home, either fiber or cable, whatever, that can pull off that upstream. And if you want to go live on multiple systems, like we just mentioned, Restream, you just send them one stream of your whatever your output is, and they distribute it to other platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, wherever you want to stream. So your upstream is not going bottom up because of your streams to so many networks. So that's where Restream comes in. Plus the added benefit that LinkedIn can be done through Restream.
Right. And I ran into some weird issues with Restream, like because I would try to stream to LinkedIn, Periscope, which is Twitter. I can't remember if I did Facebook or not, and YouTube, and like weird stuff would happen. Like sometimes Twitter would start and stop, or also chat. Like so, Restream tries to pull all of your chat into one place. It tries to get like your LinkedIn chat, Facebook, all that stuff, but it doesn't do it right. And then it's completely impossible to manage all of that chat in separate places. So that that in and of itself would be a great feature, just to get all the chat in one place. But I'm sure the APIs just don't exist, or else Restream, I'm sure, would do it.
I think for LinkedIn it doesn't exist, for example.
Yeah,
but that's another great feature. If that's something that you want or require from your stream, if you want that audience interaction with the chat, then there are only so much programs that you can use for this, and like I said, only so much actual publication platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, or whatever that you can use for this, because others don't support this shared chat functionality. It's of course really a hassle if you have to go through 5 live streaming websites just to figure out if someone mentioned you. Or
It's madness.
So what I did is, me being very analytical to begin with, is I already started this massive spreadsheet with all these tools, because I kept running into demoing tools and becoming really enthusiastic about a tool, and this is really great. This does this amazingly. Oh shit, there's no RTMP out. Shit. And then this is nice. This is nice. Oh great. I can pull guests in. That's fine, but I can. There's no screen share option for my guests.
Right.
Next tool.
Next.
Really annoying. So I understand, because there are so many YouTube, and I've seen them all. There's so many YouTube videos about the best streaming tool.
You've watched like 85 of these YouTube videos, I'm sure.
At least.
Yeah.
Because there's no best streaming tool for you. They all just mention like 5 tools, and they're already in my list currently they're like 35, 40, and they all do something differently, and it's about the specific feature that you need for your live stream, if it's gonna work or not.
Yeah.
So I'm creating this out of my spreadsheet. So it took a long time to build that spreadsheet. So I thought, well, let's put in some more time. Let's double that and build a website that actually supports filtering that, having that database as a backend, and filtering on the stuff that you actually need for your live stream.
Yeah. And what's the link to that website?
It's livestream.guide.
Nice.
Not my first name, not Guido. .guide.
Yeah, that's
YDE.
And it's great. It uses Airtable, pulls them into a nice grid, filterable, sortable.
Well, I had to ditch Airtable because that doesn't work nicely with Webflow, like we just discussed on Twitter.
Oh no! So that was the one that you were.
Yeah, it's just in Webflow.
Is it sortable and filterable?
Yes.
Okay, sick. Okay, cool. Because the filters are handy.
So what I did right now, you can there are 6 groups of filters, so you can filter on the stream destination. So where do you want to stream to? Do you want to stream to LinkedIn, Twitch, Twitter, or whatever? What kind of sources do you want to put in? So is there a screen share you want to do?
Dude, this
Obviously,
is a great
audio.
website, man.
Thank you.
I'm just pulling it up.
And so it's still very much a work in progress. So I want to add some more information because now you need some knowledge. I mean, there are terms in there, like we just said, like NDI or TMP. Not everyone is familiar with that, of course. You will after you watch those 78 videos on on YouTube. But I want to spare you that time. And you can select on video quality again and frame rates that you need.
Dude, this is a great website. Overheated Dutch guy 1. Bottles of Club Mate. What the heck is Club Mate? Is that a drink? Is that like
you don't know?
Sparkling
That's like
water?
it's like a caffeinated tea. Maybe it's
nice.
like from Germany or
Club Mate. Is that what it is? Is it like yerba
Yes.
mate? Nice. Club Mate, like a caveman.
But I think currently I have so I've imported around 15 tools, I think. And it not only so when I've hopefully before you publish this, I have this all filled up with all the tools I have in my database. But what it also does, it shows you, or it aims to show you the combination of tools that will work for you. So good combinations of, for example,
Nice.
what's already in there, which you can see is Skype plus Ecamm. If you don't need LinkedIn, Ecamm and plus Skype, you're already done. If you want to do screen share with your guests, but if you want LinkedIn, then you'll get a suggestion to use Skype plus Ecamm plus Restream, because through Restream you can do LinkedIn.
Gotcha.
So those kind of suggestions are in there. Of course, there are unlimited. I mean, if there's 40 separate tools in there. You can imagine how much tool combinations are possible. So I probably won't have them all in there.
Yeah.
But I have some top suggestions that are in there that'll save a lot of people that want to go into live streaming. It's going to be very niche. Again, I wonder. There's maybe one person listening right now that says, "Oh, that's interesting." But it'll save you a lot of time.
Yeah, and you have the prices all normalized in euros, which is cool.
Yes.
Because like I'm sure you're going through there and it's like dollars. Okay, now I gotta convert dollars, and then it's like per month and per year, and you
Yep.
know all this like yeah, all sorts of weird stuff. So that's cool. That's definitely useful. Awesome, man. Well, dude, I think we're at our time. This was a freaking blast. Couple things in the list we didn't get to. Any final words?
What did we forget?
Well, remote work we didn't talk about at all. Which was
We'll do another one about that.
yeah, dude, let's do another one. I could do these all day long, man, with you. It was a lot of fun. We'll do a part 2. So
That's good.
cool, man. Well, you already mentioned that site, but like where can people generally kind of find you online? Where's the best place?
So my own main website is just my first name with a dot between the I and the D. GUI.do. And mainly, if you want to ask something, just hit me up on Twitter, which is just twitter.com/GUIDO.
Cool. Awesome, man. Thanks so much. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and we will see you next week.